Roblox TD games have always been pretty big grind fests. Whether it be from absolutely terrible anime TD games, or even ones like TDS and TDX. I only talk specifically about TDS and TDX since they're quite similar to each other and are the only ones really worth talking about. I'll go over the very boring TDS and unnecessary grinds that exist in these games, as well as some ways that they should fix these and make it so the grind is more bearable. First, TDS's grind. TDS has some very grindy things in the game. First off, Hardcore mode. Hardcore mode is usually the longest game mode of the game and happens to give its own exclusive currency, gems. With a win only giving you 250 gems, you'd expect most hardcore towers to be around 1,000 gems, maybe 2,500 at most. But the most expensive hardcore tower, the Hacker, is a whopping 5,500 gems. And the cheapest is Brawler at 1,250. With how strong some of these towers are, some are required in strategies for other hard game modes, so it's not like you could just get away with not having these towers a lot of times. If you aren't doing a speedrun trap, hardcore can take about 40 minutes, so to get Hacker, the most expensive hardcore tower in the game, it would take nearly 15 hours to grind for one tower. Not to mention the other hardcore towers like Engineer, Accelerator, or Brawler, which all combined take an insane amount of time to grind. I'd say a pretty easy fix to this is to make hardcore towers either cost less, or make hardcore mode give more gems, or another solution is make hardcore less waves so it's faster to beat. The next thing I'd like to talk about in TDS's grind is Golden Crates. Golden Crates take 50,000 coins to get, which is way too much for a skin that you don't even get to choose. Considering how strong some of these golden towers are, like Golden Crook Boss or Golden Scout, this makes it feel like players are at a huge disadvantage for not wanting to grind for 6 of these crates. These crates take an insane amount of time to grind for, especially in solo. The best strat I can find for gold grinding took a few minutes, and it ended up getting around 10k an hour, so in total, it would take 30 hours of grinding to get all 6 golden skins, which is far too much. I'd say the easiest way to fix this is to make every golden perk its own special tower, and make the tower itself cheaper so people don't have to grind as much, but also make it so they can pick the golden perk they actually want. Also, if you're liking the video, please subscribe. It helps us a ton, and it takes almost no time to do. Thanks. Next is the skill tree. I don't think I need to go too in-depth on this, since it's quite obvious that a 1 million coin skill tree that gives generally pretty OP buffs is very bad for the game. Like, giving you a 25% boost to starting cash or a buff to unit HP is way too strong for the game and makes some game modes an absolute joke. So, in general, I think the skill tree is way too grindy. I'd say a nice fix to this is to make the skills cost less, or to reduce the skill levels, but increase the percentage per level so at max, it gives nearly the exact same. Finally, PvP. We already made a video discussing why PvP is bad, but that was more about the game mode itself and not the grind, so I'll talk about that. PvP is a very grindy game mode, requiring a ton of games to fully max the rank system, which in my opinion just feels like a glorified battle pass. PvP games go on for way too long and give pretty little rewards, so it becomes a very grindy game mode for mostly just the single skin you get close to the last rank. It was so bad when it first released that people just win traded to get their way up to the top of the ranks, since it was way easier than to actually play the game. I think PvP needs to rework the elo system entirely and make the games way faster for it to be actually a fun game mode to grind. The next game I want to talk about is TDX. I wanted to include this in the video since it makes sense to lump them together because their issues are pretty similar. TDX has similar but some different issues than TDS, so I'll quickly go over them. First, EXP grinding. TDX has absolutely abysmal EXP rates. It takes a decent amount of time to beat expert mode, and you're rewarded a whole 10k XP on a simple map. For early levels, this is pretty good, but for later levels, it's only a fraction of the XP needed to fully level up. I have experience with this too. When I was grinding for Golden Mobster, I was level 102 with 85,000 gold. I bought Golden Juggernaut at level 102, and then just decided I'll probably get enough gold to get Gold Mobster. By the time I could even buy Gold Mobster at level 110, I had more than enough gold to buy the tower, while barely having enough levels. And it's not like someone can escape this either. A lot of the towers in TDX are level locked. meaning that the game forces you to grind these overall boring modes to get decent towers, or grind even more boring events that take less than a brain cell to beat to grind for XP they have to repeat over and over and over again. I'd say the easiest way to fix this is to lower the amount of XP needed for levels, or make game modes just give more XP in general, although I'd say the first solution is easier since it takes less value changing. The next thing I want to talk about is gold grinding. Gold grinding in TDX isn't nearly as bad as EXP grinding, but it's still not good. Gold in TDX takes a very long amount of time to get. As one of the best and easiest solo grind strats I saw, only gives around 12k an hour, so it still takes several hours to get super expensive towers like Warship, Helicopter, Golden Juggernaut, and Golden Mobster. This is way too slow for towers that are needed for some game modes, like Golden Mobster and Ultra Hardcore mode. The easiest solution, as per usual, lower the cost of these towers to make it easier for people to get in less time. Next, Nightmare mode grinding. Nightmare mode grinding is incredibly tedious. Nightmare mode is quite fun, and I think it's an overall great game mode, but the grind for it is unbearable. You have to play like 40 minutes of the same mode over and over and over again for enough crystals to buy some very, very, very strong towers. I'd say it's basically a repeat of TDS's hardcore mode, but if the game mode itself was actually pretty good. I think that they need to tone down the overall grinding of the game mode, as playing the same things over and over and over again gets very repetitive and very boring. I'd say a good solution is to make the game mode give more crystals, since the actual game mode itself is very good and should not be touched, as lowering the wave count could make it like terrible with pacing. Finally, Battle Pass grinding. TDX Battle Pass grinding is terrible, since most of the time the only towers from events are locked deep within the Battle Pass, like Shock Trooper this event being in tier 33, requiring you to grind nearly the entire thing. Since most events only give you around 200, it's insanely grindy and boring to grind the entire thing out, especially when grinding shots for the event get nerfed so fast and made nearly irrelevant. A simple solution to this is to make the battle passes take this push get, or to not nerf the grinding strats every time one is slightly distant. Please, John. Winter Arc was so good. So, in general, TDS and TDX are incredibly grindy, requiring a huge amount of time to sink into in order to get even just one tower, and it generally isn't worth your time. I think these games would benefit greatly by reducing the grind time and making the game a lot less grindy for sometimes mediocre towers. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Refractor should cost that much for how it is. That's about all I have to say, so I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Bye!